What was the process like for getting the news that you put on the podcasts?
Well, it's a lot different after starting a podcast because before I didn't really pay too much attention to what was going on in the anime world. Like I'd see some stuff at cons and I'd kind of get it from that, but I was very, very um, constricted, I guess you would say. Like I had my little bubble that I was in, and my knowledge of anime fandom has grown much larger, especially with doing like anime news and stuff like that. When we're looking for different articles, I mean, we still look for stuff that seems interesting or stuff that we like, and that's kind of how we report it. Which probably doesn't work the best, but I mean, Anime News Network's out there for people to want to look at anything they want to look at. But there's always these different news articles out there all over ANN, and that's how I get a lot of my news is straight from Anime News Network. And I read the articles aloud, and I try to make them enjoyable and get people into them. And I like talking about some of the stuff, but I had a lot less knowledge of like the live action world for what's going on in Japan's anime market. And um, I mean, there's just been a lot more stuff that I've come to find out just from looking through stuff like the manga ratings and DVD ratings and all that stuff. And basically, what I do is I just go on to Anime News Network and I see what came out in the last week or so, and that's kind of some of the stuff that we talk about. And it's not necessarily Naruto heavy. Doing Naruto news, I can tell you, is actually rather difficult because you're
all on
looking for
one subject.
scraps. Yeah, because when you're looking for one subject, you're basically looking for scraps of any information that you can find to update people about. And you can get a really slow news week, or you can have a really heavy news week, as Sai's found out too. Like, what's your process on grabbing up Naruto news, Sai?
I generally just trawl around Google, but there is one site I keep going back to. It's called Saiyan Island. If
Yeah,
you've heard of that, that's
yeah,
got news for Bleach, DBZ, Naruto, One Piece. So it's just the main shonen things you'd expect, and that's actually quite useful for information on that. So it's
yeah.
that or Google.
Google is definitely your friend
Yes, it's
when
my
it comes
friend.
to
It's my best friend at those times.
looking when you're looking for media. I think Google's a very good friend. Um, I don't know. There's a lot that was involved in the news aspect of things. I think it was a lot of fun figuring things out uh, and finding what's coming up new, checking out some of the newer shows that are coming out and stuff like that. And actually, we'll get into the crazier stuff on Pervy Place when we find our news. That's actually really funny. Uh, but yeah, we have offshoots of Konoha Corner called Yaoi Corner and Pervy Place because we understand that we have perverted fans on both ends of the spectrum, whether they be boys or girls. So we try to cater to that. And I mean, we don't usually have a set formula for that, so it's kind of difficult getting stuff together. I think if we did it like a twice a year kind of thing, we'd have a lot more to it. It's just if we do it once a month, it's gonna be like so difficult to try and find everything because then it feels like you're doing the same thing over and over. But I think we learned with Pervy Place 3 a lot more of how to set that up. And I'm gonna try and talk to Sakura about finding a time that she's available to run Yaoi Corner and work off of that. So it should be pretty fun. I'm hoping that we get a good uh, kind of standard on the third episode of Yaoi Corner to kind of match the pace of Pervy Place. But we understand that we have listeners that are yaoi fangirls or fanboys in some cases, and we want to cater to that crowd as well. So, but yeah, the news segment definitely interesting. Um, did you want to ask about like manga recap stuff?
Yeah,
Because that seems to
do
be
you
a big.
guys just pull up the same website and just read from that, or?
We do. Before we were using Manga Stream, we're actually switching right now to Shonen Jump Alpha, so we are delaying our manga recaps by a couple of weeks so that we can work with the official translations coming out on uh, Shonen Jump Alpha. We have a paid account through the actual podcast email account, and we will be logging onto that and reading those. We haven't tested to see whether we can all read it at the same time, and we're going to be doing tests and stuff before that to try and
Yeah.
make sure that things are going well with
Mhm.
that. But for the most part, it started out just kind of us reading the characters and just having a good old time. And now we're actually taking it a little more seriously because of the Fairy Tale podcast. We started our approach with the Fairy Tale podcast like, well, let's be a little more serious with this. Let's literally try and dub the manga, and that kind of bled over back into Konoha Corner. And now we take it a little more seriously. So now we're dubbing the manga instead of just reading it and doing goofy voices. And I mean, we still have fun with it and do all of our goofy voices, but now Sai and I kind of direct while we're doing it. So
You've
it's kind of
always
like
done that, though.
yeah, but not to the degree that we do it now. I mean, we were kind of halfway directing with it. It was more about, well, let's get a take that instead of sounding really close to how the character is, let's get a take that just doesn't have a lot of background noise in it. Before now, we're trying to emphasize more on getting it closer to how we think the character should sound at that point, and it's a different approach in the directing process now as to how it used to be. And I think everybody's kind of starting to kind of after all this time, everybody's gotten a lot more comfortable with the characters that they read for, and there's still wacky random characters that are thrown into each series that we're like, oh god, who do we have voiced for this one? And it's basically like me scrambling to find a person that hasn't done dialogue and going, okay, you have it now. And we pull on Doctor from the Ass Backwards podcast to read any QB dialogue that comes up because we love promoting him. He helped us get started, so we're trying to help him out with that. And anytime we have him on the show, we're trying to promote him and his stuff. We're going to try and see if we can get John from the Chainsaw Buffet podcast back on again, definitely next month, so we can continue promoting Ganbare. So, really fun stuff. But yeah, the manga recaps is actually where we have the most fun, and I think it's the second most popular segment on our show is the manga recaps, because people in the Naruto world, they're a lot more they're definitely a lot more familiar with what's going on, and they want you to be current, and so that's what we're trying to do, is just maintain that kind of current status and continue reading the manga. Even though now with Shonen Jump Alpha, we're probably going to be 2 weeks behind of what is current, but that doesn't mean we don't know what's coming up. And we're going to start comparing between the scanlations and the official stuff that Shonen Jump Alpha releases, and showing that there is a difference. And hey, if the difference is better with Shonen Jump Alpha, it's about time that all of you switch to Shonen Jump Alpha and help support the official releases. So we'll go with that and see how it works. I've already started doing my comparison. It seems like Shonen Jump Alpha just seems to be more funny with it than the scanlations do. Like they take their time with the humor, and I was smiling so much between the dialogue between Killer Bee and Naruto, because they really captured the element of the humor better on Shonen Jump Alpha, it seems. And it's just a good old time. I'm sitting there reading manga, so of course it's one of the things I love to do, and I'm doing it kind of like as a full-time job almost. So
Read manga. Just read manga if you're bored as hell.
No, it's not free manga. You pay.
No, I said
$25.
read. I said read, not free.
Oh, I thought you said free. I was like, no, it's
No,
it's
no. I
$25
said
a
read.
year. It's
Read manga
$25.
if you're bored as hell.
It's $25 a year, which is actually a really cheap price for a year's worth of manga. $25. And it's still in its beta phase. Even once it's released, it's still going to be in its beta phase for a while. They're testing it. They want to see how well it's going to do. They're going to listen to their people. We're going to tweet them. We're going to be tweeting Shonen Jump every week once we're doing our recaps, and we're going to be like, look, we recap this. This was our little issues with it. Here are some of the things you might want to fix, but these are the things that we think you really did well. We're going to try and work with Shonen Jump on letting them know and giving them feedback, and we're going to ask our listeners to send feedback either to us or to Shonen Jump themselves, and it's really easy. Just tweet at Shonen Jump on Twitter. They do actually listen to their fans and their fan base, kind of like J Manga does. We were hoping that J Manga was going to be the answer to Scanlations. It wasn't, but Shonen Jump Alpha seems to be kind of almost. If they were current with what was coming out that week, I think it definitely would be. But the only issue I'm having is that for something that you have to pay for and still be 2 weeks behind, it kind of feels. I was like, if you were at least a week behind, I'd feel a little better. But 2 weeks behind, it kind of, well, I don't know. It's because especially when you're running a show like ours, where the demand to be current is so strong, it just feels like, man, I'm jipping the fans, but at the same time, we're also giving them an official translation of the manga, and that doesn't mean we won't take liberties with the manga ourselves. I mean, we've taken liberties with the scanlations. If we feel like we want to have cursing dialogue, we're totally going to put cursing dialogue into our recap, and that's just how they're going to deal with it. But yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure Viz isn't going to hate us too much, because we're not going to run rampant on it and be like, no, we want it to be this type of dialogue, and completely rechange the entire wording of everything. We're just going to do kind of how we've been doing it, and see how things go from there. But I'm looking forward to good results. I've got a positive attitude about this, and I'm hoping everything goes pretty well.